Good morning. Today is day four of the Talking to Camera challenge, and I just did the box breathing exercise just to get myself in a bit more of a calm state, and it's probably needed today. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed with some stuff to do with work, a lot to do, so it was just good to kind of get all that out, and I just want to sort of get this video done. I always find these videos just a little bit strange, like having not prepared, not really knowing exactly what I'm going to talk about. And in particular, just talking to the camera still feels really strange and inauthentic. And I guess it's because I don't know who I'm talking to. You know, if I'm on a Zoom call, I can talk to the person and I know who is actually watching, so I can tailor my message to that person, and it's more of a conversation back and forth. But when I actually don't know who you are or who it is that I'm talking to, that's a very strange idea. So I think that's something I need to come to terms with, and realizing, well, who is it that I'm actually talking to on the other side of the camera? Who is it that this message is for, and who I'm talking to? So but look, today I thought I might just talk about, I guess, what's been on my mind lately, and in particular I've watched a YouTube video yesterday that was quite impactful for me. It's a video by, it's Charlie Morgan, I think it is, his name is. I only recently found him on YouTube, and I've watched a few of his videos and I've found them quite impactful. Looks like he's a marketing guy, and he talking about business success strategies and a lot of sort of foundational things that really keep you stuck. And what he's talking about relates very similar to what I have gone through myself. I've been in business since 2006, and it's been a long, hard sort of slog. So one of the concepts he talked about was the idea of when it comes to business, that most people are looking for the different vehicle to use, whether that's affiliate marketing, whether that's a marketing company, whether that's starting a business, whether that's doing drop shipping. There's lots of different vehicles that you can use to make a business or make money, and that most people stop there. That's what they're focused on, is finding the right business and creating the right business. But essentially all those vehicles work to make money, but what they lack and what they don't focus on is the actual driver of the business. So if you think of it in the analogy of a vehicle, you've got the vehicle and then you've got the driver, and he was really distinguishing that who you are as a business owner or an operator is the driver, and that driver needs to have a certain skill of driving that vehicle. And most people, what they'll do is they'll jump in the car and they'll try to drive it and realize that they don't know how to operate it properly, and then what they'll say is this is the wrong vehicle. The vehicle's the problem. This doesn't work. This is the wrong business for me. When the reality is they just don't have the skill to drive or operate that vehicle. And that's definitely my experience, because I know when I first started out, I knew very little, and it's taken a long time to develop the skills, where now I feel like I could jump into most businesses and operate them and drive them quite efficiently, because I have developed skills over the year. He was talking about the idea of, if you want to get to the point where you're making $10,000 a month, there's a certain skill set that you need to have. Now, I basically didn't have that skill set years ago, and in about 2016, I really got to the point where I got up to that $10,000 a month reliably, and it was a big achievement. Now I'm at the point where I'm earning about $50,000 a month, or there, give or take, and that is a whole new skill set as well. And I suspect it'll be the same when I get up to 100,000 or 500,000. But what I can see is that the same thing applies, is the skills you need to drive a $500,000 business is very different skill set to something to drive a $50,000 a month business. But I just really love that analogy, because it really sort of maps onto my experience. And another video that he talked about that was really engaging for me was the idea that you've got these oscillations in different areas of your life. And think of the oscillation as it goes up and down. It's like let's say for money, for instance, there's a peak amount of money that you kind of aim for and that you're going to make and that you're happy with. And when you make that amount of money, you actually start to feel really comfortable. You feel proud of yourself. You feel like you've achieved your goal. And then what happens is you find that you kind of seem to your efforts. It's like you put your foot on the accelerator to get to that point, and then once you get there, you take your foot off the accelerator, and then you kind of find that things dip a bit, and then they'll get to the point that there's that lowest acceptable amount that you're willing to make. And once things drop down to that point, you get all worried and flustered and think, oh no, I've got to put my foot on the gas again, and then you go again, and there's this sort of up down that happens. And he was sort of saying this happens in all areas, and that's my experience as well, is one in business, where when I reach certain levels and I'm starting to feel really good about the business, I tend to take my foot off the accelerator. I tend to just let things cruise for a while. I get a little bit sloppy, and then before you know it, the business gets to a point where it's not doing as well, and then I start to get worried, and then I get back into gear, and then I put my foot on the accelerator again, drive, and then I get to that point again, and it's just this constant cycle. Same thing happens with my health and my exercise. I'll be really focused on my health and healthy eating, clean eating, going to the gym regularly, doing regular cardio, and I'll do that really religiously for a month or so, and then I'll sort of lose all this weight and feel really good about myself. And it's like when I'm in that state, it's like I can't help it take my foot off and let it go back to being that sort of minimum standard. So for instance, my weight, that's one that's very visible, and I know in the past I had weight issues. I actually had a gastric sleeve about 7 or 8 years ago, but prior to that my weight would fluctuate between 100 kilos on the low end up to usually 120 kilos, and when I would get down to 100, I'd actually feel really good about myself. I thought I was doing well, all this sort of stuff, and so that was kind of like the bottom of that was like the peak for me, like that was doing well. Then I get comfortable, start eating crap again, stop exercising, and then before you know it, I was 120 again. When I got to 120, I felt like shit. I was really angry at myself. I was really upset. And then what would happen is I would make a conscious effort to really get out of that, and I would exercise, and I would eat healthy again, and I'd get back down to 100, and then the same cycle would happen over and over. It'd go from 100 down to get to 100 kilos, and I'd blow out to 120, and then I'd go back down to 100, then back up to 120, and this cycle, eventually got to the point where I was getting up to 135 kilos, which is when I ended up kind of doing some stuff about it. But that, I guess, analogy of how that works, the same with business. I used to be really comfortable earning 100, like 10 grand a month. That could pay all the bills and everything, where now the $50,000 a month, by the time I take out my expenses and everything else and different lifestyle expenses, it's we only just still kind of just get by. And if that dips too low, I start to get a bit of anxiety, thinking, oh shit, we're not making enough, and I've got different goals. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is with that idea is that often I focus so much on what the top number is in those ups and downs. So I always set my goals for what I'm going to be doing at my peak. So if you think about if you're going in these peaks of up, down, up, down, up, down, the goals are always set for the peak. So this is, in 12 months, this is what I want to be making, and it's sort of like that top line goal. But it really made me think that I really should be setting what I would call bottom line goals. And the idea of this is that is the absolute minimum standard that you will accept. So in 12 months time, I want my business to be making $1 million. But the bottom line standard, which is the absolute minimum that I would accept, would be $750,000, for instance. Now my business at the moment is earning about $600,000. So if my bottom line goal is above my current top line goal, what that will do is it will mean that I can't just revert back to this, because it means if anything under that 750 will be where I start to get worried and frustrated and start to change my habits and actions to try and get up to that million. And that's how I'm going to start trying to use this to make sure I'm constantly in that cycle of growth. And I'm also going to do it with my diet at the moment. I've kind of this last year and this year I've fluctuated between 90 kilos and 100, and I tend to find that now when I get up to around that 95, I start to think that I'm going to start changing things. But that was pretty much. Yep. Okay. That's pretty much it. So yeah, I really enjoyed those videos, and I look forward to listening to a few more of those, and yeah, having a few more conversations like this. Thanks for watching.